Okay, so it was the first moment when I saw the lineup. I asked myself, what value can I bring? I mean, can I bring real value to these people? And after quite a bit of thought, I thought to myself that, oh wait, most probably everyone here uses design. Do you use products that are designed? Who does? Everyone, yeah. Duh. Okay, so, but there's one more thing. We all have different interpretations or understandings of what design is. Can I ask, what is design to you? What do you think first when I say the word design? How things look like. So the aesthetics part of it, maybe. What else? Do you also think about art? Maybe. Fashion? Sometimes. Come on. So what else? Do you think of jewelry, cars, computers? So that's these are like a lot of things to consider when you say the word, a simple word like design. If you look around you right now, and for those who participated in the workshop yesterday, please don't respond to this one. If you look around you like right now, can you identify at least one thing that grows like this, like spontaneously in nature, the way it's in this room today? So can you find one thing, only one, or at least one, that's in its natural form here in this room? Ourselves maybe, but we're still a result of human culture, civilization, and so on. We're dressed in a lot of things, so we're not like Adam and Eve. So, thing is, everything around us, everything is designed by people for other people to use. And when you realize this, and think about every small detail, everything that you use, all garments and clothes that you have on you, your smartphone, your wallet, your laptop, the shoes, the chairs you're sitting on, this projector, my laptop, and so on, the software on it, everything is designed by humans for other humans to use. So, are you designers? Who considers themselves a designer? But you do build things that are used by people and that can influence their day-to-day life or work. If you're using software that doesn't do its job or that it's hard to use, that's an experience you won't forget. Yeah? Somehow, somewhere, someone is using your product, the product of your work, even when you're building slides like I did for this conference. When you're building slides to present something, to influence decisions, to pitch ideas, you're creating an experience for other people. You're using their time. You're making them pay with their time. And maybe use some calories in order to understand the message. So everything that we use can break someone's day. Did it happen to you ever to meet something or a product or an experience or a service that is so bad that it simply destroys your day? Did it happen to you? No? You're very happy if you didn't meet anything like this. The slides are dancing. It's intentional. Yeah. But never mind. Those we can have this discussion even without slides. Thanks. So, is design hype? A lot of tools talking about designing technical system, technology, deep tech. So there are many discussions around design, designing strategies, designing products, designing companies and cultures. These have been rising as like important topics in searches and everywhere in conferences in the last maybe 10 years. But is this only like hype or fashion? I would say no. People have always designed things and tools for them to use and make their lives easier and happier, maybe. So there are a few companies doing consultancy or research who have looked into how other companies use design and what's the impact that design has in those companies' business or strategy or culture. The first one was in 2016, done by the Design Management Institute. And they discovered, after talking with companies in the S&P 500, so these are the most powerful companies in the world, basically, they discovered that the ones who had a focus on designing products or services or experiences for their employees and their customers had a 200% increase in financial results. So there's a direct correlation for that. McKinsey, everyone heard about McKinsey, discovered in 2018 that companies who use design in their strategy grow twice as fast. And Forrester in 2020, right before the pandemics, hit, told us that they reach the market they want 2 times faster if they use design. So these all are statistics and numbers, if you like numbers, that somehow make us think how design can be used more than for aesthetics and more than like something that's pleasurable to look at. So I have like this short movie clip that I will play now that tries to explain how design envelops everything that we do.
When people think of design, they often think an elegant chair, a well-turned logo, dramatic architecture. But that isn't all that design is. Design is more. It's more than the drapes or the drop shadows, more than a beautiful UI or a rad concept car. Design is more than aesthetics, much more. Design is fundamental. It's the predilection to investigate and understand. It's the compulsion to give form to ideas and make sense of disorder. Design is the ability to amend the imperfect. Design is knowing what questions to ask and how to ask them. What's the right problem to solve? How do I solve it? Why should I solve it? In a world in which anyone can now build anything, design is understanding whether something is worth building at all. If you've ever built, tested, shipped, debugged, rebuilt, or reshipped anything, then you're a designer. And there has never been a better moment in history to be a designer. Now is your time to solve real and important problems, to start great and enduring companies, to use curiosity, creativity, and craft to elevate lives. Because design at its core is optimistic. It's the call to change what is into what ought to be. It is the attempt to make heart and mind into tools of mass construction, to build a better, wiser, more just, more beautiful world. Design is your gift and your responsibility. Design is the way.
A few things about me just to make sense of what I'm going to talk about. I used to work in corporate, in service companies, banking, energy, telecoms, as a product manager, product designer, then doing research and then innovation projects. And I was lucky enough to be there when things started, when the first smartphones were launched, when the first tablets were launched, when new applications were launched by large companies, when they discovered the native mobile OSs and native apps, when they tried to impress their customers with new technology and to explore maybe new types of doing business or doing work in their day-to-day life. So 6 years ago, I left the corporate world, but still I'm working with large companies. I created with a few people a small company that's called Design Thinking Society. We're a studio of 4 people with an extended team that helps companies create products and services or improve experiences that already exist. Some of our clients are there if you're curious. And these are my colleagues who have very different backgrounds. I'm the only guy who worked previously in digital and have some connection with tech. The others are mostly coming from communication and strategy and branding and general management. So we are a multidisciplinary team. Do you work in a multidisciplinary team? Do you have designers, product owners, architects that you work with day to day? That's nice. Because these are the only teams that work. Teams that are only focused on one thing and created only of people with the same basic understanding of their discipline don't have different variations in mind when they interpret reality. When they look at how they perceive the world, they use the same lens, and that's never enriching enough to reach something innovative. Okay, so what we try to do is do business design. So we try to move the concepts and make design something meta, something that anyone can use in their business and day-to-day life. So we also have people in our community who use design in coaching. They help other people design their own habits, their own life, their own career. But we mostly do help companies with product strategy. We help them make decisions together and do sprints to develop new features of products. Can everyone see the slides? Because it seemed to me that the desk is in front of the slides. Okay, so the disciplines we cover and are based on design are a lot. So are very many, and usually we meet every day companies who name their designers or their teams something that is around design or about design. Yesterday I met a guy who's a user experience technologist. First time I heard that. So every year, every month, new jobs appear. Maybe it happens in the technical world, the technology world as well. So people invent new stuff and they need people to manage that. And then they create jobs. And there's a huge struggle to find good people to do those jobs. Does it happen in your companies? Is there a crisis in terms of hiring new people that are good at what they do? I feel it everywhere I go. So it doesn't matter if it's a technology company, a company offering services, retail, whatever. Everyone has the same issue, but it's very visible in technology. At the same time, technology is the place where people win a lot of money compared to what other people in Romania gain. This is the place where people have the power to buy almost anything they want, and they have companies who want to keep them happy. They have pool tables, ping pong tables, swimming pools, and I don't know what else. So they try to keep these people happy. So every HR or employer tries to keep technical people happier than the others. I'm not saying this with envy because I always work closely with the technology teams, and I'm quite happy about it myself. So I reap some of the benefits myself. So it's only a thing that made me ask myself, are we too comfortable with this situation and not trying to push things to change? I mean, does this way of how the industry is working make us too comfortable. In Romania, more than 80% of technology companies do outsourcing, so they don't have their own products or services. Very few that do, and those are multinationals and have huge teams and a lot of power. So how could we decide what we create, and how could we create value that is not dependent on the time spent writing the code or designing the interface? So we solve three main types of challenges. Usually in our work, we discovered that teams lack a way to collaborate in a structured manner. They try Agile, most of them try Agile. Did you try Agile? Who managed to really implement Agile? Oh, come on. No, so I'm looking at my former colleagues from ING because they do. I mean, all the companies scaled around the Agile concept. But there are a lot of companies trying but not succeeding to implement a very meticulous way of managing meetings, communication around projects, and efficiency. So this is a collaboration problem. What we do is we separate the way we explore and understand from the way we make decisions. I'll tell you a bit more in just a minute. A second type of problem is a structured problem. We don't know how to separate every step of what we do, and we all the time come up with one solution to one problem instead of trying many. It seems wasteful to try many possible solutions, so every time companies either fail at one project because they only had one solution in mind, or they don't make it. So they don't make it to market, the product or service doesn't make it, and they don't reach their end goal. And another problem is a speed problem. Everyone wants to move fast because the market moves faster. So how can we do this? When you have many people to coordinate and you have a lot of colleagues to talk with, how do you solve the speed problem? So I'll try to tell you about the process that we tried and tested. It's not a process that we invented. It's a process that we discovered around 10 years ago. It was actually when I was back in ING, and ING was building their own process of developing products and services, and studying all the methods and methodologies they could use, from lean startup to design thinking to all terms regarding design. So we discovered that there are different ways to assess the maturity of your team and of the company that you work in. So usually most teams fall into this very apparent solutions trap. This is how we call it. Interpreting design in terms of aesthetics. Usually this happens when a team of technologists, people who do architecture, who write code, build a solution and then give it to a designer to make it look nicer. That's happening at the end. Okay. This happened to me quite a lot several years ago. This is what pushed me to move from moving pixels around, taking a step back and trying to understand how can I be part of a bigger conversation earlier in the discussion. How can we think about who this is for, why we build it, and how can we build a better experience? Not only for the team, but also for the customers. So then I understood that there are methods to move design in the middle of the project. When you test concepts or you test requirements with users before going to writing code. And this is where design gets accepted. It's a long struggle until then. So people who are alone in a company of technology teams, and try to make them understand that it's not only about aesthetics and that design should come up earlier in the discussions, have a long way to go until the design gets accepted inside the team. And then when design becomes part of the project and the teams start doing research, design is embedded in the company culture, but not necessarily understood by everyone in the same way or embraced. When the CEO or the director start using design methodology and terms, and they start their discussions with the user in mind or with the experience of their employees in mind, only then the company is changed. So they can reach like twice the results they had before just because they changed their mindset. So it's mostly about mindset and about how we can really integrate this type of perception in our day-to-day work. And it's about redesigning how we work and our experience as teams who collaborate, and not about aesthetics. So we call it not necessarily design, but human-centered design. It's design centered on people like you and me. We are customers, but we're also people who work for other people to use the solutions we create. So this means that everything we do should be human-centered. Should have human-centered on the experience of employees, because that's the thing that can break the experience of customers. So we start from that, and we always start with looking for the right problem to solve. In our schools and everywhere in the learning system, we are presented with problems to solve. In our CVs and resumes on LinkedIn everywhere, we praise the way we solve problems. We are good at solving this kind of problem. This is what we say in our CVs. So our resumes always present the type of problems we are specialized in solving. But we rarely say that we know how to identify the good problem to solve. So we rarely find a way to measure that. We rarely know how to find people who are good at asking questions or who are curious enough. Usually, someone brings in a problem to solve, and then they even tell us how to solve the problem, how to develop the feature, how to create the product. And then they are unhappy because we implemented the requirements. And the good thing to do is to receive those requirements and ask yourself if that's the right thing to do. Is that the right problem to solve? So, my reflection before coming here was that it's really important to stop selling our time. It's really important to create value that sells and stop selling our 8 hours in a day. Because if we create value that sells to many, then, and only then, can we free up our minds to create a better world, to create better experiences while working. And so this is why I thought it's important to raise this aspect of becoming and creating a product company, and not an outsourcing company. Not to take orders from others, but to actually create value yourselves. So we must make our work for us. Because otherwise, our work puts us in a loop that we never get out of. So it doesn't matter if this means to start a startup or to start an internal innovation project, or to actually try to improve little by little the things that we do in collaborating with our colleagues. There's this study done by CV Insights. I think they do it every 3 years. What they do is they have a machine learning algorithm that scans all the databases from incubators and accelerators around the world, And every year they ask the same startups if their initiative failed or not. And when they say it failed, they ask, what are the reasons you think that generated the failure? Why did it fail? Can you guess? Was the top reason they invoke? Was the most important reason they say that generated the failure? Funding. Lack of funding. Okay. Design? Maybe. That design is a solution. It's not a reason for them to fail necessarily. So, not able to sell. So if you think it's about money, what else? What else can it be about? Why do teams fail? It's not only about startups here, it's also about initiatives started inside corporates, intrapreneurship, and all sorts of innovations. So the statistics is really surprising. The top reason they invoke is that there is no actual market need for what they're building. Do you know how many startups die in the first 3 years from their launch? What percentage? Try to guess. It's 98%. So if you're trying to say something that is generally about startups or new initiatives, something that is true generally, you can say that new initiatives or startups generally die. So this is like the thing that's statistically proven. So 98% of people who try something new fail. And 42% of them say that they failed because there was no market need. How does this happen? How do you work for 3 years and after 3 years realize there's no actual market need for what you're building? How do you think this happens? Why? Say louder. Yeah, you don't try to go out and talk to who's going to be your customer. To actually to check that reality in your head is real. The second reason is, yes, they ran out of cash, or they didn't know how to spend it, or they didn't get any money. Yeah. So, or not the right team. In Eastern European culture, trust is the main issue. Teams fail. So we have a bigger statistic, like the statistics for Romania and the countries around Romania is bigger than 23%, is around 40%. So it's very close to what's in the first place there. So we have trust issue and we have a confidence issue. We believe that we're very smart. We believe that we're so smart that we don't need to ask the persons we're building the product for. Then we get out-competed. Why? Doesn't this mean that someone else did their job better of knowing who their customers are and so on? And then there are pricing and cost issues. So you don't manage to create something that's cheap enough for people to buy. And then you have a user-unfriendly product. Doesn't this go back to no market need and the reasons why the products don't fit the needs of the customer? So if the product is unfriendly and then there is no market need, someone didn't do something. Yeah, they didn't do their job of actually talking with the user, testing with the user, getting validation, and so on. So product without a business model. Again, it's about money and market fit. Then poor marketing, ignoring customers, and product mistakes are all connected to the same thing, the same idea that we ignore the people we're building solutions for. So, I don't know if you know, but there's like a chart of countries where the EU evaluates the power to innovate. And they've been doing this for about 10 years. Do you know how Romania scores? Can you see Romania there? We constantly score that. Like In Romania, we're 11 no? So we fail school. And I really believe that we don't need marketing people to do design. We don't need politicians to do design. What we need is technology people to do design, because the power is in your hands. You are doing the change. You are creating the product. It doesn't matter if someone writes bad or good requirements. You are the ones implementing them. And you also have the money, more money than the average Romanian, to actually choose with your wallet when you buy things, when you pay for products and services, when you vote, and so on. So I really believe that the light comes from technology. It should come from that side and really change things around. So I wondered, what makes us not do things or do things in our day-to-day life? And there's research from like behavioral economics research trying to explain how decisions are formed and why people do things. So imagine yourself as being here. There are forces that push us to do change. These forces are the discomfort with the status quo. Imagine yourself sitting on a couch or on a chair. You will not get up if you're happy. Imagine yourself on the couch or chair having popcorn, watching your favorite movie. Nothing will make you get up as long as you're happy. Only when there's discomfort, sudden thirst, popcorn is finished. I don't know, or your leg just wants to move a bit. So discomfort is what makes you at first move from point A to point B, trying to do change in what's happening there in the context. But there's another force that pushes us all the time. If the change is big, then there's anxiety. We fear change. We try to watch out for change because we don't know if it's going to be good for us. There are also forces that pull us towards change. That always will look at things that we get attracted by, we get inspired by, we aspire to. These are things that make us want to change towards a better situation. And then there are things that make us want that because we envy someone else who has it. Yeah, we all envy countries that innovate better than Romania, right? Envy is not powerful enough, though, to push us towards change. Discomfort is not powerful enough to push us towards change. Why? Because all technology companies keep their people happy or too happy. There's not enough attraction towards something better to contribute to that. So let's analyze the way we make decisions in our life, in our team and company, and as citizens of a country. So what should be the force pushing us towards change or attracting us towards change that's big enough? So, but I kept philosophizing about this, trying to ask myself, how can I convince a room full of technical people that we need to do this? So we always try to, when I start projects, I try to help people get clarity in their decision process. So we start from a business challenge. What do you want? Is what we ask CEOs. What do you need? What does your business need? And then we start exploring from that. Okay, but who are your customers? Who is the team who can contribute value here? And then we talk with people in this part of the process. As we talk with people and as we have discussions, usually these are open discussions, exploratory discussions, trying to get context, understand why people do things. We start noticing patterns. We start seeing a red line connecting all that people say, and collecting their problems. And then we start clustering things together and understanding what their profiles are. And only after that, we go to solutions. So we spend almost half, if not more, of our projects trying to find the right problem to solve. Now, we don't jump to solutions. We tell people, hey, Mr. CEO, just wait, trust the process, just wait. So look, we have some more insights for you. We have even more insights for you. Every week, we bring them insights. And we bring them the voice of the customer, we bring them quotes, videos if we can, and we convince them that they don't know everything about the customer. And then we decide with them together which are the priorities. So we see the top topics that the customers involved, their most painful stories, and we decide what is the place where we can come up with the most value. And only then we call everyone in, all the stakeholders, all the team members, and create many possible solutions. And then we start sketching the solutions, prototyping the solutions on paper. We try to make it as cheap as possible because we don't want to have a high cost before validating. And we go around, we test ideas, and we throw them away. We test ideas, and we throw them away. I'll show you in a minute. What's the time? I'll show you in a minute a few examples of real use cases of the process. So what we try to do is actually reach an end of the project with several possible solutions. Not one, but several, at least 3, sometimes 10 or more. So people who do the investment, who have the budget, usually have to decide where they put their money. It's a bet, but we give them possibilities and we give them a way to compare. It's never good to only have one proposal, one way of doing things, because you're not helping the one making the decision. You're constricting them to one way of doing things, the one that you think is best. So, what makes change possible in any organization or team? We did our own research. It's not academic research. So what we did is we interviewed our stakeholders, the CEOs we talk with, the C-level people, the managers, directors, and we find that all the time there are a few ingredients that need to be there in order for things to happen. In 80% of cases, if there is no pain big enough, people don't want change. So if you're choosing a project or product, anything that you want to solve together, and the pain of that thing is not big enough for you, for yourself, for your team, or for the customer, the project doesn't happen. Even if it starts, it can sometimes start just because people are very ambitious or push their ideas forward, but things don't happen or don't finish if the pain is not big enough. So the status quo, the discomfort of staying there, has to be big enough for people to want to change. But pain is something that puts pressure on people. It's stressful to be conscious of pain, of your own pain or other people's pain. So we're also looking for something that is more aspirational, that is more inspirational. And usually this is passion. If people have passion for a certain topic or product or technology, that's a good thing. What's not a good thing is to start projects only from passion. And I've been mentoring startups in accelerators and incubators for 7 years now. Every time I see a technology team trying to do innovations, they start from tech and they look for use cases. Let's do something with VR. Let's do something with blockchain. Why don't we do something with AI? And they start there, and they never find a pain that's big enough for the product to move forward. And then there's something that's on top. That's always there, sometimes small, sometimes big, and that is duty. Do we feel duty for anything around us? What if you're looking around yourself in your work, life, in your team, in your company, or in the city, or in the country? Is there something big enough that you feel the duty to change for others? And then, only then, things work. Duty can be discovered by having actual conversations and exploring the context that people have and their pains, so you can find duty. Passion has to be there, and pain has to be there. So these are the ingredients that any company or team needs to have in order to change or create their own products or services or disrupt the way that they are doing things. There's this definition done by Melvin Conway in 1967. At the same time when design thinking appeared, this guy said that any system designed by an organization, any product, any service, any experience, is a direct reflection of how that organization communicates internally and collaborates. So every app that you build, every system that you build reflects, is transparent to how the organization is structured their things and makes decisions. So every time you look at software, try to ask yourself, how does this company's culture look like if software looks like this? I always do this and it's fascinating. So you really get insights that you would never get elsewhere. It's better than Glassdoor reviews. So how can we hack the company culture in order to make this change, to transform what we do, to collaborate better? Is there a way to hack it? And I think there is. So I will start with a few of these hacks that we use every day. Of course, we don't have enough time to go through a full methodology now in less than 20 minutes that we have. So one really important thing to do is to separate exploratory and analytical thinking. When you sit around the table with your colleagues and you're trying to make decisions together, try to start your meetings with, this is a meeting for brainstorming. What we come up with is ideas. Or this is a meeting for decision making. What we come up with is one decision or several. This is a meeting for brainstorming. What we come up with is many possible solutions. So every time, clarify what the meeting is for. And then, don't start by throwing solutions over the table. Because every time we do that, the team fails. Usually companies recruit people that are specialized in one thing and put them to work together, and we discover ourselves around a table with people who have more or less the same specialization that we have, or the same background, or the same experience inside the company. And this makes competition happen. People want a better salary, a better job, want to be seen as the smarter people in the room by their managers. So they take their ideas and they run with their ideas and try to push them and sell them inside the company. So what we do first is we don't try to find solutions, is we try to ask the better questions. So we brainstorm questions at the beginning of a project. We try to find everything that we don't know. We try to look at things like we don't know anything about it. And then we try to find some patterns in those questions. And then we do some research. At least we talk with experts, or we recruit some end users, and then we create solutions based on the feedback that we get. We come up with many solutions, usually more than 200 after an ideation session, and we take those ideas, we promote a few of them in prototypes, we sketch them basically, and we show them destroy them. We show them, improve them. And after only a few iterations, 6 or 7 iterations and improvements, only then we are ready to write specs. And then we continue testing. It doesn't have to stop. Research and design is not something that you do once, it's something that you do all the time, in all projects. It doesn't mean that design has to. Am I too late? But we started later, like 15 minutes later. I will wrap it up. Okay, I'll try. So, one hot tip is work together but alone. At first, try to write down individually things and then share with it. This way, everyone gets a voice. So there will not be one person to influence all the decisions inside the team. All the ideas will get exposed. So start by working alone, share it with the team, vote or decide or prioritize and then move forward. And all the time alternate this way of working. All the time start with exploring, then selecting the best things to do further. And then build the mindset of a designer. Learn to throw away bad ideas first. Are you familiar with the concept of sunk cost? It's a concept from economy. Sunk cost is when you're waiting for a bus, let's say, or the train, and the train doesn't arrive. It's late. But you keep on waiting just because you've invested so much in waiting. Yeah? This happens in relationships, and in jobs, and so on. Every time we work a lot towards building something, it's really hard to throw that work away. So this is why we try to experiment very cheaply with pen and paper most of the times in order to get something out of it, learning. So we don't try to validate at first. At first we try to fail as fast as possible by putting our ideas forward to the customers, getting their feedback, learning from that and improving the initial thought. We call it design thinking. It can be called in many ways. And then we try to embed it in the company as a habit. It's like flexing a muscle and doing this all the time, just because if you do it one time, it doesn't matter. If you do it once in a project, it doesn't matter. You tend to forget something that you don't do every day. We also have a statistic, and we discovered that if something is launched, a new product or project is launched, or a new way of working is launched inside the company, it takes only 3 weeks for it to die if it's not practiced daily. So you actually need something to happen more frequently than 3 weeks in order for it to stay with you. So innovation is a process where you practice this thing every day, you collaborate every day, you throw away ideas every day, and you try to come up with several solutions that you test with real people. Because what we seek is value creation. We start from what's desirable for people. Do they really have this problem? Is it painful enough for them in order for us to do the change? Can they afford it? Can they pay for it? And in the end, is it feasible? Do we know how to do it? Do we have the technology? So we call this an innovation trinity, just because it's the way we start every project. So it's really important to start from people, and then continue with an overlap from technology and business. And of course, for that we need to learn how to ask the right questions. And this is how I close it up today. We don't ask questions about the future. I always see this while talking with people in technology. Don't ask hypothetical ones. Don't ask, would you like to have this feature? How would you like this to look like? Because every time you do that, you are asking people to give an answer about what they would do in the future. Their future self is always something that they look to aspiration. We always look at ourselves in the future as being wiser and smarter, better looking people, thinner, doing more sports, having a healthier life. So every time we ask people about their future, they will give us a response that's aspirational. So always ask questions about what they already used, what they tested, how it compared to what they know, and what was good and what was not. Because that's the truth. Don't ask them to imagine futures. This is our job when we create products and services. Thank you.